Welcome, everyone. Once again, we are the Vinyl Community Guncles. It's time for another artist ranking. Don't forget, we've got more artist rankings coming up. We'll do the Beatles on the way. That they don't get talked about, so we thought
Never.
we'd let you know all about them and our feelings about their albums. But before that, we'll do the tops and bottoms of the year 1984. What a year. That's next. But this time around, it's all about ranking the albums from the Violent Femmes. Now, there's a group that really doesn't get talked about a lot. So
No,
They don't.
it's time to do some Violent Femmes talking.
Let's do some talking.
They have 11 albums, I think. And we're only going to talk about each of our top fives. And so let's get started with the Violent Femmes. Craig, or first of all, we're the Violent Community, Community Guncles.
We are violent. It's true.
Have you ever seen when somebody says Vinyl Community? Have you ever had the closed captions on? It never says vinyl. It's always vile, final, and my favorite, vomit. The vomit community. Anyway, we're the Vinyl Community Guncles. I'm Robert Fithen, along with Richard from Calvin Wazoo, Mike from Hub Tunes, and the violent femme of all of us, Craig from Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
So violent.
And he is first.
I am. Yeah, I loved them so much in high school. I think that they were just kind of what I needed at that time. What's kind of funny, though, I had my jean jacket, and I wrote on the back of my jean jacket, the Violent Femmes, with a peace sign. And little gay boy probably shouldn't be putting, the Violent Femme on the back of a jean jacket. But I didn't really quite understand what femme was, and I was a dumb little, LDS kid, so... really, I didn't really get it, but yeah, I've been listening to them, really, really, really long time. Actually, they might even predate The Cure for me. So with number 5, and I was kind of going back and forth. I feel like I say this at the beginning of every one, but then I listened to this one again, and it's their darkest album, in my humble opinion. It's kind of, it was actually written before, well, actually he wrote all these songs when he was in high school. Gordon did. And,
I know what you're going to pick.
And yeah, this was, all these were done before the debut album, but this is their second album from 1984. This is Hallowed Ground. And the opening track, Country Death Song, which was the single, I believe, is so wrong in so many ways. He's taking his lovely daughter and he's going to go throw her in the well. And but it's okay because all good children go to heaven. And then the dude hangs himself at the end of the song. And I think about, he was in high school when he wrote this, so Gordon, a little twisted, but that's okay. That's probably why I like him so much, is the twistedness, that his vocals are not great, but they're perfect for what they do. And I don't know. I Hear the Rain is really, Never Tell is probably it's close to one of my favorite songs on this record. It's 7.5 minutes long, but it's just, there's just something about it. It's just on, and it's so good. But my absolute favorite, Hallowed Ground, is great. I love the religious undertones of it. It's kind of interesting because Gordon was raised Baptist, but Brian and Victor were atheist, and they didn't want to do any type of song or anything like that had anything to do with religion.
Really?
Yeah, and
they do a lot.
They do a lot, and he kind of, but if you notice the first record, there's nothing really like that. Yeah, and so he kind of convinced them to do it for the second record, and they both have said that a lot of these songs they really enjoy performing live. Never Tell is one of them. But I think Sweet Misery Blues is probably my favorite song off of this record. I love the clarinet in it. Can I buy you a dress or something? Would you go out with me or something? I just love how quirky the lyrics are. Yeah, so number 5 for me is their second album, Hallowed Ground, from 1984.
He was more than just raised Baptist. His father was a minister, right?
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
So I mean, it was pretty pervasive in his family, I guess. I mean, the whole. I can't even imagine. But yeah, Violent Femmes for me, I'm probably the least into them out of us four, I would guess. Maybe not, or one of the least. I thought I liked them more than I ended up liking them after listening to all the albums in 1 week. That was an experience. I think that it's better to listen to them separately and then kind of absorb. They're just something to throw on. But listening to all these albums, some of them I hadn't heard before. I kept thinking of AC/DC, the Brian Johnson years. It would be similar to that, to where it's all just variations on a theme, really.
Next week we'll be doing AC/DC,
the Brian Johnson. Nobody's done that. Wow, can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh my God! No.
But my number 5 could have easily been 4 different albums. And the only reason I'm picking "Why Do Birds Sing" from 1991 as my number 5 is because it has American music on it. So that gave it just a little bit of a notch above the others. I think that's a great song. It really harkens back to their very early days. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give away too much, but I really like their early days, and which seemed to me to be a little more personal, authentic, sincere. What comes after that kind of seems more derivative and kind of, we're going to try some different things and do like the Violent Femmes version of blank. And so I'm not really so much into that kind of stuff. But Out the Window is fun as well. It's a nice follow. It's the next song on the album.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff on there like Life is a Scream, which is just ridiculous. It's kind of, they get into more like novelty territory. The bottom of that album is their remake of Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? It's like, yes. It's the answer to that, ruining that song. But American music is the reason that one sentence, American music is the reason that Why Do Birds Sing is my number 5 and not another album. So, but it easily could have been revolving around several albums there. So that's and I don't have it to show. So it's colorful. I think it's 2 people whispering on the front, or she's got her eyes closed.
Well, we these 2.
Like I said, I think that we're the 2 that are not as.
These guys are here.
Yeah. We're in the middle. I think Mike is next.
Well, that's interesting.
No, Richard's next, so we can break up the lack of passion.
There's I have several Violent Femmes albums, but there was a lot of their catalog that I hadn't listened to. And so picking number 5 was kind of difficult for me because there were several albums that I thought were equally as good, and they were equally as good in their unremarkable nature, but they were decent albums. The songs were catchy, and I could listen to them. There was only one album of their catalog that I couldn't listen to all the way through, and that's the album We Can Do Anything. That album, but anyway, it was difficult picking number 5. And I surprised myself, I think, and I don't have a copy of it, but I picked their lowest rated album as the number 5, and that's New Times from 1994. The fans like it a lot better than the critics. The critics really kind of panned this album. But I love the way it starts off with this banger of Don't Start Me on the Liquor. I'm an old man. I got old man's pain. It just, starting off with that. And then the song Breaking Up, it's got like this sinister tango feel to it. I don't know. I just kind of liked it. The one song that I really don't like very much on the record is Machine. It's kind of strange. It's very techno and synthy. They were trying to experiment with that sound. I don't think they succeeded very well with it. But they've got some good numbers on there. Key of Two is a decent rocker. I'm Nothing, which appears on some compilations. When I saw them in Pittsburgh in 2019, they played that song. It's kind of a fun anthem to political apathy and a rebellion against labels. And it's just Gino and a guitar. So it was kind of interesting in that respect that none of the other band members were playing on it. And I love the line, "What's your anomaly? It's my destiny." Just his lyrics sometimes have this twisted flair to them that, you mentioned his religious upbringing. At first, I kind of thought he was being not facetious, but very critical of religion. But once I learned about his religious upbringing and the fact that he was very conflicted about it, that brought a whole new dimension to a lot of songs. The song "When Everybody's Happy" to me is kind of a drag of a song because it lacks irony. It just sounds like him whining, but it picks back up with Agamemnon. So I was kind of surprised at this album that basically gets 2 stars by a lot of critics and has mixed reviews by people who like the Violent Femmes. This is an album I would buy. Some of the other ones that are on this level, I'm not sure I would buy them, but New Times, yeah, I think I'd buy that one. So that's my number 5.
Not on vinyl.
I actually liked it too. It could have been my number 5. Actually, a lot of these could have been my number 5. So I found out why I don't have to. I'm not showing any records this week because I do not own any Violent Femmes records. This was a lot for me.
We'll have to send you some VCLT.
Well, okay. No. Well, tell me which ones you're going to.
You too, Robert.
Don't waste your postage. I remember when the debut came out, and the first 3 records are. Well, anyway, I'll get into those. But I was a kid in high school when that debut came out, so I remember the Violent Femmes. I honestly, when we picked these, I was like, wait, they only made 4 albums. It turns out they made 11?
10.
10?
I think.
Wow.
I think it's 10.
Wow. And yeah, I honestly thought they disbanded in the early 90s. So I listen. I kind of like Robert, and I actually texted Craig last week. I had to drive out to Iowa last week, and I listened to Violent Femmes like all the way out there.
Oh my God!
I think I listened to every one of their
overload.
records in the car, and by the time I got there, I was ready to pull my hair out. Robert, it's a band you need. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just maybe 1 or 2, taken a break, come back another 1 or 2. Man, but I listened to every one, and then the ones that I really liked that I was sure I was going to put in the top 5, I listened to 3 times. Wow, that was quite a listen. So I'll just get into it. And this number 5 also could have been the one that Richard just talked about. There were a couple that could have been number 5s. There are some albums there that they're okay. The production gets a little bit better later, but I'm going with this one, and I'm probably gonna get shit for this. I don't know. I don't know anything about this band. I didn't look at what the fans like or anything. I remember this album cover actually. Once I got home and I started looking at album artwork, I was like, oh, I know that actually. This is 1986's The Blind Leading the Naked. I thought I know Robert hates this. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
No, it's like Talking Heads. It's the only one I have on vinyl, and I don't like it at all.
It's something about it at the beginning. When I first heard it on the very first listen, I was like, oh, this one I like. After listening to like 8 albums, it was probably like the 7th or 8th one I had listened to. And I was like, okay, this one I like. The production's a little bit better. The songwriting's definitely more in depth. Just the sound of it was really good. I really enjoyed. I'm going off because my notes are a mess. It opened up really, really good. It lost me with the song "Faith," and then now we bring up he was born Baptist and his father was a minister. There's a lot of religion throughout all of their albums. I never knew that, and it actually I may go back and listen to it a little bit more. I really enjoyed this record. I on first hear I was like, oh, that one. That was the only one that other than the first couple. I knew it. I was like, okay, that might be my top 5. So I did listen to this several times. It's not great, but it something about it clicked in my head, and I really did enjoy it. There's a cover of "Children of the Revolution" by T-Rex. I really like. That's one of my favorite T-Rex songs. I thought they did a really nice job with it. A hell of a lot better than "Do You Want to Hurt Me?" I mean, why you would cover a garbage song anyway is
absolutely not a garbage song.
Not a garbage
that song's
song.
great.
God. Jesus. Okay,
Wow.
that's my
It was produced by Jerry Harrison. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Might have
Right,
did he
that.
do the artwork?
I can't remember that.
Yeah, he plays on it too. You're right.
Yeah.
Artwork.
I'm very conflicted about that album.
Yeah,
I just don't. Yeah, no. Not for me.
Well,
Heartaches is a great song, though. And I held her in my
there's a lot
arms.
of
There's
it I
some
enjoyed.
really good. There's a few good songs on there. It's not one of my
Killing was
favorites.
really good. I really liked it.
I'm surprised with my number 4. I'm surprised that it's on my list, but because I listened to it when it came out and I was like, nah. And so I hadn't listened to it, obviously, in a really, really long time. Came out 23 years ago. So from 2000, Freak Magnet. And I really, really was like digging this record. I listened to this one probably because I'm so familiar with the older catalog. And the title track, Freak Magnet, is fantastic. I love the song All I Want. I danced. Mosh pit. That's kind of dumb, but kind of good at the same time. But then it ends with a story. And the story is the poor little boy and little girl, the out of wedlock lovers, get eaten by a toll booth monster, and then the girl's mother marries the boy that she wanted her to marry, or something like that. And it's a tragic tale and very odd and obscure, and I love it. But I don't know who Pierre Henry. Yeah, I don't know who Pierre Henry is, though. It's featuring him, but I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was I think might have been the last one that had the other drummer that I can't remember what his name is now, because Victor left after Whitey Bird Sing,
Right.
And then from what's New Times after that, up until Freak Magnet, it was this other drummer that I cannot remember what his name is right now off the top of my head. And then the last 2 records have different drummers. Yeah. So number 4, do not own it because it's not available on vinyl. There's 3 that have never been, and that's Freak Magnet, New Times, and Rock, the one album that you cannot find streaming.
Yeah, my number 4. Wait a minute, am I next? Yeah, I'm next.
My
number 4. I didn't listen to Rock. I just realized that after looking at these, and it is because it wasn't showing up on the stream, and I didn't even think about going to Wikipedia.
But I didn't listen to that one either.
So none of. Wow, that's probably an awesome album. It would have made our number 1s.
Who knows? I know I heard it years ago, but
the drummer for that period is Guy Hoffman.
Thank you.
But pretty surprising. My number 4 is New Times. I did not see that coming at all.
Wow.
That's when I jumped off of the Violent Femmes. I remember that coming out. I remember it being critically panned, and I remember hearing the single Breaking Up, and I did not like that song at all. I think it's one of the worst tracks on there. I'm the opposite of Richard. I don't like the song Breaking Up, and I don't like Don't Start Me on the Liquor. But I do like Machine.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of like Machine too. Yeah. That was the one that I really enjoyed on there.
It definitely sounds different than, they're it's not the same thing and the same old. And I'm looking at the critics here. All Music's giving it 2 stars. Popular Music's giving it 2. Rolling Stone gives it 2. But Entertainment Weekly gave it an A-. But the Island Life is okay. I Saw You in the Crowd is all right. I really like When Everybody's Happy. Key of 2 is kind of redundant. I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, I think it sounds like a fuller sound after a few albums of just the same, the 3 guys and the acoustic and the bass and the drums. And then I think the saxophone comes in at one point on an album. But this is an actual fuller sounding thing. And I think it works really well. And I was dismissive of it when it came out and didn't listen to any more Violent Femmes after this. I think I heard the album once. So, recently I heard it twice. And I was really surprised how much I liked it, especially more than a lot of their 80s stuff. So, New Times is my number 4, surprisingly. More surprises ahead.
I'll give it another listen.
It's interesting too that the songs that you like are the songs I didn't like, and vice versa. That was
right. Yeah. Breaking Up, I remember the single. That was the single, and I just was like, "This is just. I'm not into this."
I didn't hear the single version, but
well, it's the same. But I'm just saying that was the single that they tried to push to radio, and
it was all over MTV at the time too, like on 120 Minutes. And
it's like, we're gonna stick with Hootie and the Blowfish. We're not gonna play Violent Femmes Breaking Up.
Hootie.
Well, my number 4 is also Freak Magnet, and I was gonna go back and listen to it some more, but then, for some reason, they had the entire album on YouTube, but then they removed it. It's not on YouTube anymore. The only song that's on there is the title song, Freak Magnet. So I wasn't able to get some, jot down some good notes, but it's a decent album. It's not, to me, it wasn't really amazing. It wasn't doing anything new as far as the Violent Femmes go, but it was solid pretty much all the way through. The cover is outrageous. I love the cover because you've got this almost like a who's the artist I'm thinking of, but this freakish figure with a third leg, that's dangling between his shorts. It's just crazy album, but yeah, I wasn't able to write anything else down because I wanted to go back and listen to it. And they removed it. So, but yeah, that's number 4 for me, Freak Magnet. That's all I got to say about it.
I'm going to re-listen to it.
Now we're going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah, it's you, silly boo.
I'm sorry. I'm being distracted by a plumber.
He's showing crack.
I've seen that movie too. To quote Elton John.
I was in that movie.
Or Axl Rose, whichever.
Oh my God. My number 4 is Why Do Birds Sing? I thought it was terrific. I loved American music. You guys are right. That song is awesome. I love that song. I like Out the Window and Look Like That. Great songs. 3 really good songs right in a row. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then Do You Really Want to Hurt Me cover. And then it picks right back up. This is a really solid record. Life is a Scream, Lack of Knowledge. I really enjoyed this one. And this is one that I would definitely pick up on vinyl. Is this one? And you guys just showed it. So yeah, I would definitely. By the way,
they have a Kraft recording release of it.
Yeah, there's a Kraft.
Really, really good.
Yeah. Actually, Kraft just released a bunch of their stuff. I actually, my local shop has like all the Kraft recordings of Violent Femmes, but they're like $42, which I was really surprised by. But yeah, I would definitely pick this record up. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent.
My number 3 is Why Do Birds Sing? I was like dying for this to be released on vinyl for like the longest time and was so happy when it was. I love the cover of Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I love the part, and I love the original too. But I love when he changes the line to "What's your favorite color of your favorite car?" That's like I get excited every single time that line. It's like
the
what's
irony
your favorite
that he
color?
throws into
It's just so great. American Music was a great first single off of this. Out the Window,
really
Look Like That. Have Mercy on Me. I've got Girl Trouble Up the Ass. I mean, come on, that is like brilliant poetry right there. Okay. Life is a Scream, meh. Hey Nani Nani is kind of corny, but I have so many wonderful memories of this record, of when it came out. I mean, I was a junior when this came out, so was really into them at that time, and the cover is fantastic, and I don't know what else to say about it, although the Do You Really Want to Hurt Me is not that terrible. I look at it as a completely different
I mean, okay, it's not worse than the original.
Outrageous enough.
I love,
and the thing it is totally different because the original's so great. So it's totally different.
I definitely enjoyed the cover of it more than the original. Absolutely.
Wow.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm not a Culture Club fan, obviously.
Saw them.
I did see them, yeah.
Yeah.
My number 3 was, again, a huge surprise to me, and it was Freak Magnet. And I did not see that coming. I had never heard of Freak Magnet before. I think maybe I'd seen the cover a few times, which, again, opposite of Richard. I cannot stand that cover. I think it's the worst thing about the album is the artwork. But, I thought it was so fun sounding, and I thought that was something that was missing from a lot of their mid albums, like, their middle ones. This is just so fun and energetic.
When
and,
they weren't
again,
popular.
Full sound. Yeah, like the Why Do Birds Sing, and the American Music's fun, but, what's the 3 with Nightmares, and, that's kind of just keeps that same. Yeah, but this is so energetic and so fun, and the lyrics are very clever, and, again, critically panned. Everybody hated it, but I did not expect to like this so much. All I Want is great. Mosh Pit, is kind of silly. I didn't care for that one. But Hollywood is High, great way to start it off. What's the one about the candy and what is that? I like it when I don't have it, and I don't have it again. What is that?
Was that Sleepwalker?
Maybe. And then it's just kind of all over the place. And then there's this song called When You Died. Which totally changes the entire feel of the album, and it's that going back and forth, and then they pick it right back up again. It's all these just emotions, and it all works though. It doesn't seem disjointed.
Might be the one where he's talking about the candy or whatever in the dark.
I didn't take any notes because a lot of this I listened to while I was driving or working out with the Violent Femmes. Wow. Pump that iron with Gordon Gano. But so I didn't take any notes. A lot of listening in the car, a lot of listening on
that's what I did,
laying back with headphones on at 2:00 in the morning. And so I didn't go with a lot of, I like this, and this is the name of the song, because I don't think it ever says that name. But yeah, Rejoice and Be Happy, just fun, and I did not expect that. I was thinking that, as I'm listening, and again, my cat picked the order of how I was going to listen to these.
Thank you, kitty.
And I was thinking that, I guess this is as good as it gets. I guess the, Why Do Birds Sing, and, the Blind Leading Naked, and I guess this is it, because, the newer ones aren't going to be that good. And I was really surprised that they were. I enjoyed New Times more than those, and I enjoyed Freak Magnet more than those. So, yeah, it's my number 3.
Wow.
All right. Well, my number 3, and I have a copy of this one, is Hallowed Ground from 1984. And this album, especially after I learned more about Gano's background, I started to appreciate this album even more than I did on the first listen. When I first picked it up, I picked it up mainly, because of the cover, and listening to it. It took a while to grow. It's a dark album.
It's really dark.
And then learning that this was kind of like Craig was saying, he wrote it in high school to try and purge himself of the religious upbringing that he went through. And that's when I began to realize that a lot of these other songs that you can tell have some kind of religious connection or connotation. I initially thought he was being facetious, but he's not. He's being very earnest in what he's saying, and he's also, and when he's criticized in some songs, when he's criticizing religion, he's not criticizing religion. He's criticizing a certain type of, I guess, in the Baptist community, you were either liberation theology or you were wealth theology, and that's what he was kind of, I think he was singing about. The Country Death Song is, to me, it's a good song, but it's not that original. It really reminds me of Dylan's Hollis Brown. Just kind of the same storyline, a little bit to it. And Never Tell, it's a pathetic story about being wrong, but I like the way he sings it. It's really pathetic. The character, and this, I read someplace where he was saying that he likes, when he sings songs, he adopts the character of the person in the song. So it isn't necessarily a reflection of him. And he really makes that guy pathetic in that song, and just the way it's supposed to be. Jesus Walking on the Water, we get his religious background, very country gospel. I feel like I'm at a tent meeting, when he's singing that song. The title track is very much like a desperate plea in that Sweet Misery Blues. I do like that. I love the refrain in that. I love the musical journey. Now, when I say the refrain, I love the musical refrain part of it. Not, now I'm not talking about the actual lyrics. Just the way the song is put together, I just really like it. Black Girls is not so politically correct, today, but they
music is really
when
fun
I
on Black
saw
Girls.
them in 2019. They played that song, which was kind of surprising to me.
Really?
Hallowed Ground is this was a grower for me. It took a while for me to I felt like it was a pretty decent album at first, but the more I listened to it, the more I really appreciate it for what it was and what he was personally going through at that time. When they laid it out. So, yep, that's my number 3. I'm sticking to it.
My number 3 is number 3. This is where I lost the Violent Femmes. This is probably my last memory of buying one of their CDs. 89? Was it 80? Yeah, 89. So I was well into my college years at this point, and I remember really liking this album when it came out, and so that is kind of why I gravitated back towards it. I do enjoy it. Nightmares, I really enjoy. Dating Days, the whole thing, I really enjoyed it. And I hadn't listened to this record in I bet I haven't listened to this in 25 years. I mean, it's been ages since I played this or listened to it. And I still enjoyed it. And it was kind of what I remembered of the Violent Femmes from my high school and college years. And this would definitely be my number 3. Also, not their third, I believe.
Fourth.
It's their fourth. Mm-hmm. So I and like I said, this is kind of like where I jumped off with the Violent Femmes. I don't think I was ever on, so I don't know that I could jump off of it. But this is my last memory of the Violent Femmes, as I was growing up and, in high school and college and stuff. And yeah, I think this record still holds up. I really enjoyed it.
Good. It's a good one. Number 2 for me. Probably gonna hear it. Their debut. Violent Femmes. So many memories of this record. It was played over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't think there's a song I don't like off of this record, and that each one, I think Please Don't Go might be up there like my favorite. I loved the whole story, and then she went and she loved another guy, and I fell down dead for the tears I cried. Blister in the Sun annoys me now, but I think it's because it's so played out and it's really the only song that anybody knows by the Violent Femmes. And I get that way when something gets really, really popular. Is it a fantastic? It's fantastic. I mean, it was the first, probably everybody first song they ever heard by the Violent Femmes was Blister in the Sun. It was the first song I ever heard. And then if you had the CD, or I think even the digital, you had extra tracks, which had Give Me the Car and Ugly, which I've got you got a little rat in a toilet there. Which
In a what? In
the toilet.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, says it like my sister.
How else are you supposed to say it? I mean, look at that. Oh, and the rat's nails are done. I never know.
I didn't bring out my CD.
What do you have to do to an egg? If you want to make it really hot.
I'm gonna boil it. What?
Sound like a boll weevil?
How else would you boil an egg? Oh my! And I almost said egg. But,
it is egg.
Egg.
Oh my God!
I should not have brought this up. I'm sorry, people watching.
Do not bring up Rocky the Flying either.
I will not say. I will talk. I will not talk about. But yes, Ugly and Give Me the Car, which was like the greatest part of the CD release, because
those were great songs. Yes.
I love Come On Dad, Give Me the Car Tonight. And he gonna get nasty. And Ugly is what you are. Oh my God. Another Day Older and Deeper in Debt. It ends with Good Feeling. Fantastic. Okay. There you have it. I don't know what more I can say about. Not that I said enough anyways, but
I'm really curious as to what your number 1 is going to be.
I am too.
Because wow, that's surprising. My number 2 is Hallowed Ground. It's their second album, as we've discussed. I think it's as close to their first album. It is really dark, but it is that earlier kind of sound. They're still fresh. They're still new. They're still doing their thing. But here is where they kind of get away from the sincerity and the authenticity, I feel, of their first album, like I was talking about before, doing things like Country Death Song. He's not speaking from personal experience. He's not singing about himself like he does through the whole first album. He's now doing... This is the beginning of doing songs in that Gordon Gano style, and that goes on throughout all the other albums. I don't really care for that. I like him when he's singing in that socially awkward, I'm talking about myself and you're relating to it, because nobody else really sings like this. Well, except for the Modern Lovers and somewhat Morrissey, but I'll talk about that more later. But Country Death Song is okay, but just like Richard said, this has been done 100 times, and not just Bob Dylan. I mean, this goes back to old Appalachia, Tennessee song. I talked in my Mother's Day video about a song that she liked called Knoxville Girl, where the guy's going to take her down by the river and stab her a few times, and then swing her around by the hair of the head when she's dead. I mean, these songs, there's so many. I'm going to throw my daughter in the well. I'm going to throw my girl in the river. It's like, and then I'm going to kill myself. It's like that. That people really liked doing that back in the days. I mean, that's all you had to do back in the Appalachia, back in the backwoods. All you had to do was kill somebody and then kill yourself. That's how it was. And when he's singing it, it definitely sounds like, you know, he's almost doing a cover song, even though he wrote it himself. But I mean, it's been written so many times, it's almost like a cover. Yeah. I'm gonna have to bring up the thing because I can't even read this CD. I Hear the Rain is really short. I don't even really remember that. Never Tell I thought was really good. Like Richard said, he's getting back to the, you know, maybe he's singing about himself, maybe not. I Know It's True, but I'm Sorry to Say is pretty clever. Hallowed Ground I like. Jesus Walking on the Water. I am not a fan of the religious stuff at all. I don't get into his conflicted religious stuff. It's not something I relate to at all. My mother, my family, the first, you know, half of the first 20 years of raising kids, they were all in church, you know, dressed up, suits, and pictures are taken, and they're going to the church social, and they're going to church every Sunday. By the time I was born, obviously my mother and father had enough of it. And I literally thanked my mother before she passed away. I thanked her a couple of times, for not taking me to church. So I don't have that conflict. I don't have that. You know, I know a lot of people do, and they're you know, that's part of their whole personality is they love Jesus, they love the church, but at the same time they feel like the church doesn't love them, you know, and it's that whole thing, and they don't like the hypocrisy of organized religion. They don't like what religion has done, you know, to the world, and but they love Jesus and they love praying, and they, you know, it's that constant conflict, and I just don't have any of that, and that, like you all have been saying, this keeps coming up song after song on album after album, and then they just do regular just spirituals like Jesus walking on the water, you know, there's no conflict there. He's just doing a spiritual. They basically give up later on in the last album, which is terrible, that one, the hotel one, and just say, fuck it, let's do Gordon Gano does God Bless America. It's like
and sleeping at the meeting and meeting in the sleeping and the sleep. Oh, that see,
that's a terrible song. Terrible.
And I'm clapping and what that?
I'm crapping while I'm just stupid.
Yeah, it's just no.
But I would rather hear that than Black Girls. I think that Black Girls is the worst song on here. Yeah. I think the gay baiting, and especially the stuff that goes on the first album, is a little dated at this point. I get it. In the early days, it was very bold. A lot of people appreciate him doing that. I mean, I certainly did. I appreciated it. You never knew. Maybe he's gay. Maybe he's not. Now we know that he's not, and is all gay baiting. And I'd rather hear a gay person sing like that about, you know, come on, boy, give it to me harder. Give it to me harder, harder. That's pretty daring for somebody to sing in 1984. But now it just comes off as pandering, you know, as cold pandering. But, it's still somehow my number 2. Maybe this should have been my number 4, and New Times should have been 3, and Freak Maggot should have been number 2. But I just couldn't believe that I liked those later ones as much as I did. I mean, it really was surprising. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and make this one my number 2 for some reason. I like the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork's great.
Better than that Freak Man.
Some lady, I can't remember. Some sculpture lady.
So am I next for number 2?
Yes,
you are.
Well, number 2 for me is Why Do Birds Sing? And to me, this record really is just strong from the beginning with American music. It really was a great song. With my first listen, I felt like, wow, I hope the rest of the album can keep up with it. And unlike, you know, others, I think it did. I like the ambiguity of the song, Look Like That. And I like Used to Be. It's a typical Gano lament, you know, of him just like lamenting that if things were different, or that kind of, you know, thing going on through the song. And of course, Girl Trouble, Up the Ass.
Have mercy.
That song is is so good.
Mercy on me.
He Likes Me. I always like that song. Because it's this classic being stuck in the middle. You know, you like You like this girl, but she's just thinking of you as a friend. And then the other guy goes, well, I like you too. And it's like, oh, isn't that swell? Just the way he sings everything in there is just really,
Yeah, I
really
forgot
good.
about that one. That's a really good song too.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of Knowledge is certainly a song that's relevant today. I mean, it's a little on the preachy side, but man, this was released in 1991, and it's just as relevant today. I do like the cheekiness and the irony of More Money Tonight.
Yeah.
I just like the way he was kind of like just sticking it to all those people that he, grew up with. I'm Free. I liked I'm Free. I never thought of it as being having a religious connotation. I just thought of it of him just, thinking of being a child again and being free and all that. But now that I've learned more about his dealing with his religious upbringing, I can see how there might be some of that going on in the song. But the way that it's presented, I take it as a literal thing of just a child being free and unencumbered by anything adults tell it. So this was I do like Flamingo Baby. I love that. And then your leg, then you comes down on me, this singing about this, and then the flamingo is like squashing him. I like the way he gets those stories in there. And I do like Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I like that song.
What's your favorite color of your favorite car?
Because I think what he's doing there is it's not really an homage to Do You Want to Hurt Me?
Thankfully.
Yeah, he's parodying it. He's mocking it, and I think he does it just so exquisitely.
Oh my God, that song
doesn't need to be
mocked.
My number 2.
Outrageous.
Like Jim.
Okay, well, my number
Your
2
number
is
1, Craig. I'm interested now.
I know, I am too.
My number. Craig.
My number 2 is Hallowed Ground. I remember when this came out, we were so excited for a second record from the Violent Femmes. And I remember a lot of people were, I don't want to say let down, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it, though. I thought it was great when it came out. I was really excited. And it's darker, and I'm talking about 16, 17-year-old kids. That's how I remember this band. And I liked it. Like you guys said, it's darker. I really, really enjoyed it when it came out, and I still enjoyed it. I hadn't played it in 20-something years. I'll go through country death song. It's an old topic, but I think it works. It's a good song. I really enjoy it. I Hear the Rain, Never Tell, Jesus Walking on Water, You Can Keep. Hallowed Ground, the title track, I really, really like. Black Girls is absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. I thought it was horrible back then, and it's even more worse. It's awful. And It's Gonna Rain, I think, really kind of closed out the record. Mm-hmm. The thing I liked about this album, and I remember when it came out, is the songs are longer. They're a little more developed, and even some of the later stuff, the songs get shorter again. And I'm a fan of longer songs. I mean, I like more development and more to a song. I don't need a 3-minute song. There was one record, I think it was 3. I mean, there's not a song on there more than 4.5 minutes long. And that's why I always gravitated towards this record when it came out. I remember friends of mine who, when the debut came out, absolutely were gaga over it. They were apeshit over this record. And then the second one came out, and they were just like, nope, don't like that, which is hard to believe. Looking back on this record, it's a really, really good record. Okay. I love it. Yeah, so that's my number 2, definitely.
Oh my goodness.
Number one.
Before though, because Gordon did do a solo album in 2002 called Hitting the Ground, and you should definitely check it out because he actually only sings on 3 songs. I think there's 11 or 12, But Martha Wainwright, Frank Black, PJ Harvey, Mary Lou Lord, John Kell, Lou Reed, all of these people sing the song. Like I said, I think there's 2, maybe 3. So the Hitting the Ground, the title track, PJ Harvey sings that. Then it's also the last track on the album, and it's Gordon and PJ doing it together. But it's really, I had forgotten about it.
Oh my God!
It's not on vinyl. And then he did one other album, Gordon Gano and or Gano, whatever, and the Ryans. That is available on vinyl, but not streaming. So I just thought I would mention those. But yeah, the Hitting the Ground though, I think it's really, and I like the different artists and kind of people that you would not think that would be on there.
It's streaming.
It's streaming. It's on Apple Music.
Oh, I'll check that out.
Yeah, the Lou Reed ones. Oh, and Linda Perry's on there too. But yeah, the Lou Reed one's very interesting. But the PJ Harvey one is just freaking awesome, and I absolutely adore Martha Wainwright, so I really like that one.
I do too.
So number 1 for me. This actually, so yes, Blister in the Sun was the first song I ever heard. I heard a couple of songs off of that. This is the first album of theirs I ever heard from start to finish. We were looking for the debut, could not find it. This had just recently come out, so we bought it thinking that it was going to be like the debut. It's nothing. And maybe in all sense and reality, the debut is better than this, but this is the one that has the most memory and connection for me. And
this is our favorite.
I love every song on this record. And yes, their 4th album, 3.
Really?
Wow.
This is my favorite. Nightmares. I mean the opening, just like Dating Days, I love that. I love that he will love you if you're skinny. He wants you to get, some extra weight would not look better on anybody but you. I mean, he's saying, come on, gain some weight. I love it. I'm here for it. I want
That's not what he's saying.
He says a little extra weight would not look.
He wants you to get fat because he thinks if the girl gets fat, she'll come
back, but
she'll have no esteem and come back to him.
No, but he's also saying that if she does gain weight, he will love her, and it will look no nicer on nobody but her. Everybody else can be fat and not cute, but she's beautiful fat.
So he's fat shaming everyone but her. Great.
Pretty much. I don't know, shush. Okay. The world we're living in, mother of a girl. You look, oh my, and lies. I just, mother of a girl. You look like you could be the mother of a girl. Watch out for that bitch. Okay. That is my number 1.
Wow, surprising.
4th album.
Lies is great. Lies is probably my favorite song on there. But this was the second CD. This was the second album I ever heard from them. So yeah, I totally get it. Actually, no, I take that back. It was the first album I ever heard from them. 3 was also the first album I heard all the way through because, well, I'll explain. But yeah.
You'll tell.
Oh wait, it is my turn anyway.
It is your turn.
Yeah,
so
you can explain.
So my number 1 is Rocks.
That we did not hear.
My number 1 is obviously the debut. I think this is going to be everyone's number 1 from here on out. So no surprises there. I think it is beyond head and shoulders above anything they've ever done. This is where the sincerity is. Like I said, 3 was the first album I heard all the way through, but I had a compilation, which is this one, which has half of this album on here. So, and this is great. This goes all the way up to before New Times, and this is what casual people, Violent Femmes, unless you're really into them, I think this is what you need right here.
That's what I was going to ask if there was a compilation, because what I need.
There's a fuller one called Permanent Record that's probably better. It goes on for longer. It goes into the New Times and whatever.
And they're on vinyl.
Greek magnet on it. Yeah, that one is.
I would get that one. This one has a live version of Add It Up.
This is for live.
Yeah.
This has got a lot of recordings of their songs for live.
Permanent
live.
Record also has a lot of songs that weren't on.
Yeah, compilation is
albums.
called Permanent Record. That's a 2-disc, and that's probably the one you want. I really like the version of I Held Her in My Arms on here is much better than the one that's on the album. I don't know if this is a single version or if it's exclusive to this, but this is called Added Up. But yeah, Permanent Record's probably the one you want. But yeah, the first album is, like I said, so much better than anything. I mean, it's them, fresh, new, sort of groundbreaking. They have that, like I said, that Modern Lovers take on things. I think I compared the Modern Lovers when we did the 2011 to a band, the Front Bottoms. Yeah. So I'm always going back to them when I hear these bands with this lead singer that sounds kind of timid, sounds socially awkward, but he's putting it out there. He doesn't care. Here's my truth. It's probably, and then, it ends up being our truths too. A lot of it. And this is what this is all about. It sounds very earnest. It sounds sincere. It sounds authentic. There's not, I don't think, an ounce of, there's none of the religious stuff is not on here. The derivative stuff, like, the country death song type stuff, or I'm just going to do God Bless America out of nowhere, or I'm going to try to make fun of the Culture Club for God's sakes. None of that is on here. This is all sounds like it's right from the heart. Blister in the Sun is such a strange song historically because it's, I played that on the radio. It's got to be the only song I ever played on this station that was never a single. I don't know how that came into the American vernacular. It was never a single. No. And we played it like it was a top 10 hit or something. It's the only song out of the 700 that we played over time. It was the only song like that. It's a very unique song historically like that. Never a single, never a hit. But everybody knows it, and radio stations play it like it's Michael Jackson or something. The single off here was Gone Daddy Gone and Kiss Off, which no one plays those on the radio, unless it's an alternative station, a modern rock station. But yeah, Kiss Off is great. It sounds very personal. Gone Daddy Gone, you got the wonderful little, that's just a fun song with the xylophone. Yeah, with the xylophone in there. Good Feeling, Added Up. Just when you think it's quirky and it's fun, then this guy's, why can't I get just one fuck?
Well, that's got something to do with luck.
And it's like a Morrissey type thing where he's singing he's socially awkward, he's being put down, but this guy is not a poet at this point. This guy's just putting it out. Why can't I get just one fuck is not poetry. Morrissey is not going to sing that. Gordon Gano is, or Gano, however you say his name. Prove My Love sounds more like a rockabilly, just a song almost, but it's fun, it's relatable, it's awkward, it's sincere, it's different. Like I said, it's sort of groundbreaking. Yeah, there's a little bit of the gay baiting on there, especially Blister in the Sun. Yeah, there's no Violent Femmes that compares to this, in my opinion. I mean, everything else is like maybe a 3.5 star, 3 star. Some of them are 2-star albums. This is almost a 5-star album. Maybe it is. Yeah. But yeah, there's nothing that compares to this, so it's definitely my number one. Wasn't even a close second.
Yeah. Same for me. Number one. And rather than talk about the songs, although the song Added Up to me is
wait a minute, honey.
always such a great song. But
turn up the volume.
When I first heard this record, I was working at this private school in the mountains of New Mexico, and so I was like a dorm counselor. I was the person who we lived in cabins. And the students lived in, in the cabins. And so there was a cabin that I was in. And it was a school for kids with learning disabilities. And some of them had a lot of social awkwardness. And I think it was like the first year. First year I was working there, because this was in 1983. The kids were playing these songs. They had the tape. They had the cassette tape of this record, and they were playing it constantly, and I was listening to it, and I could see how all these socially awkward, academically behind students were just really getting into the music. they connected with it. Everything about that record spoke to them. Everything about the sex to just everything else and dealing with other people. It was remarkable to see how this album really lit them up. And I grew to really, really love the album as well. And yeah, just all the way through. And I love the the xylophone, whatever, with Gone Daddy Gone, which when I saw them in Pittsburgh, they played it on, had the xylophone, it was on stage for almost the entire show. And that was, I think, the only song, that they ever played on it. But man, he played it just incredible. That was Brian Ritchie who was playing the xylophone. But yeah, it's, I think that was the most memorable thing for me, though, about that album is seeing the students at this school, how they just immediately connected with it. It just spoke to them. It was about them. And they related to it so much. And I think that is part of, I really like the record, but I think going through that experience and seeing how the kids were relating to it added to my appreciation of the album as well. So yeah, this is my number one by far. I agree with Robert. This could be a 5 rainbow album. In spite of some of you got play, a lot of play. Some of the songs are overplayed on radio, but it just holds up.
Yeah. It's it spoke to a lot of people. I think it's my number one too. It's the album I'm obviously most familiar with. When it came out with 83, I had just gotten my driver's license, and I talk about this all the time. It was one of those cassettes that me and every one of my friends, the new driver's license, we got our cars, we got our cassette players in the car. This cassette was in every single person's car that I knew. And it was always in, and it was always playing, and it was always playing really loud, and added up, and Gun, Daddy Gun, you would turn it up higher. If we could turn this stereo up higher in our cars, we would have turned it up louder. If we could have rolled down the windows anymore, we would have rolled them down. When we were going to the beach, it was on our boom boxes. We had this cassette everywhere. It was if an album could be groundbreaking, but also have a kind of a retro sound, this album did it. There was nothing that sounded like this record when it came out. And it's a 5 rainbow record in my mind. I absolutely adore it. I don't know why I don't have it. I had it probably on CD, definitely on cassette, probably several cassettes, because I wore this thing out. I took it to the beach. It probably had sand in it. We played this thing everywhere we went. It's absolutely their best by far. It's just absolutely terrific, and I don't know what more to say about it. Just put it on and turn it up. Yeah, it's a perfect record. It really is. And at the time when it came out, because it came out, 83, you're looking at Thompson Twins and Culture Club and all the Duran Duran and all these like kind of poppy, synth.
A lot of synths and electric
so much
sounds.
Synth everywhere you went. There was that electronics, because new wave was gone. Now new wave had merged to like that pop sound, which I'm personally not a fan of. But then this comes out, and every one of those fans of Culture Club and those pop synth bands and everything, they bought this record. Everyone bought this record. My metalhead friends, they bought this record. My Grateful Dead fan friends, they bought this record. The synth people bought this record. Everyone bought this record, and it's great. It's absolutely perfect.
You know the story about how they got their big break, do you?
No.
They got together, and they wanted to get some exposure. They thought a good chance would be to set up and play outside the arena where the Pretenders were playing for a concert that night.
Yeah.
And so they played, and later on, the Pretenders come outside, I guess, and listen to them play some more. And Chrissy Hine tells them, "Hey, we'll give you some time. Come inside and you can play." And awesome. They did. and that was their big break. With that, they just took a chance. So hell, let's try some of this stuff in front of people and see how they react.
And I also do give them credit. Obviously, I don't know their whole discography, like I said at the beginning. A lot of this was so new to me, and they did lose me probably after 3, but I'm glad they didn't make another album that sounds just like this. They seem to evolve, and that's what I like about musicians. That's most of the bands I like and artists. I don't want them to recreate, and the fact that they did move on and do other stuff, and some of it's good, some of it's not good. This is a perfect band. I need a compilation. I will be totally fine with that Permanent Records compilation. I'm going to look for it, but yeah, nobody wanted them to make this album again because we all would have been like, "What the fuck." Oh,
I would have loved it. I think they de-evolved.
And the record company.
It's so derivative what they did later on, and just I wish they would have explored. I like that American Music song. That's because it reminds me of the attitude of this. It sounds sincere, and I just like we were talking about with David Bowie. I mean, wish I would have known Mike and his friends. In the 80s where I did not know anybody that knew who I did not hear the Violent Femmes until the 90s. I heard their name. I thought they were a heavy metal band based on the name Violent Femmes. I thought it might have been like Vixen or something, like maybe they were a female heavy metal band.
Oh, yeah.
And punk band or something like that, female punk band like the Slits or something. But yeah, I did not know anybody who was listening to the Violent Femmes until college. High school, I knew a few people that secretly were listening to like the Smiths and New Order and The Cure, but nobody was. As far as I know, the Violent Femmes never got mentioned. I didn't know anybody that had anything from them until 1993. Wow! And that's when I heard a few songs off this. I got the compilation.
What years were you in high school? What years were you in high school? Because you're a little younger than me.
I graduated in 90.
And I graduated in 84.
So I can tell everybody that I graduated in the 90s.
Musically, that's that's a generation. Just 6 years. It's a long time. My sister's 4 years younger than me. She probably has.
But growing up where I did, though, I don't think that.
There's that too. Yeah.
I don't think that people would have. When I was graduating, it would be, when I was in high school, it would have been The Blind Leading the Naked and whatever the album was before. 3 would have been the albums that were out. Nobody had those. Everybody had that Bon Jovi, though.
Of course they did.
Motley Crue, Theater of Pain.
I do need to correct myself. I did look up the pronunciation. I think it's Gano, not Gano or Gano, because I think it's a Catalan name. So, but yeah, I looked up the pronunciation, and I think it's Gano, Gordon Gano. So I've been saying Gano, and so I'm wrong.
We all got it wrong.
You're all saying it wrong. So, on a note though, with Gone Daddy Gone, y'all know Gnarls Barkley covered that song, right? But no, I don't really like their cover of that. But from that, the Violent Femmes actually did a cover of Crazy, which I cannot stand that song, but they do it very well. So it was kind of like, oh, thank you for covering our song. We'll go ahead and cover yours. And in my opinion, they did it better. But that was just a little side note there for you.
I just don't like CeeLo Green ever since he changed the lyrics to Imagine on New Year's Eve in New York.
Oh,
anyway, you don't change the lyrics to Imagine. Imagine has a point. Imagine is a thing. You don't switch it around. Put your own flavor on it or whatever the fuck he said. Anyway,
your own flavor.
I digress. I don't want CeeLo Green's flavor. We're the Vinyl Community Guncles, and next time you see us, we'll be talking about the tops and bottoms from the year 1984. And then after that, it's an artist ranking of the Beatles after that.
Holy man, yeah.
So I don't think any of us will probably have the same number one. I'd be surprised if we did. It'd be interesting to see where all of the Beatles rankings fall. I don't even know what I know what my number one. Maybe I'm going to listen to them all again, and who knows?
Yeah.
I think I know what my number one is, but it might change.
Yeah, they're so different. How do How do you compare Please Please? And we're doing the UK ones, by the way, to make it nice and clean.
Yeah.
Because if you start getting into US ones, do you do a Hard Day's Night soundtrack? Because if you do that, then that has a lot in common with Something New. And then Beatles Sick, it's like, yeah, it helps soundtrack. I mean, with all those instrumentals on there. I mean, so we're doing the UK ones, even though I grew up with the US ones and love all those albums. To make it nice and clean, we're doing the UK ones. So how do you compare Please Please Me with Abbey Road?
You can't.
It's like a different band,
Right.
So that'll be interesting to do that. So hopefully you will join us for those and much, much more to come. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, we are the Vinyl Community Guncles and our top 5 ranking of the Violent Femmes. I am Robert Fithen, along with
Richard at Calvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
And Mike at Hubtunes.
Hopefully you'll see us again.